You're listening to Schrodinger's Track, aka the Shrod Pod. If this is your first episode, then let me explain the premise to you. In Schrodinger's Tracks, we will be seeking out the weirdest album covers we can find from bands we've never heard of to see if you can in fact judge an album by its cover. Pretty simple premise, right? Let's see how it goes. So on Schrodinger's Tracks, what we do is we find an album that's got a cool or interesting or weird cover that from a band we've never heard of, don't know anything about, and we say, hey, I wonder what this is about.
That's pretty much it. It's like just reviewing it like unheard.
That's it. So this album that we're going to do today, I haven't told Matt about, so he's going to learn, has been sitting on my shelf for, I would say, since 2011, because
on the same shelf?
No,
because
you've
moved several times.
Yeah. But I used to work in this place that was on the way to it was an Oxfam. So payday would come by, I'd roll in there to look for Tom Waits vinyls. You could always find a good Tom Waits vinyl. Never found a Tom Waits vinyl, but I did find this. And I was like, that looks amazing.
Go on, grab it.
Check under your seat.
Under the seat?
Oh yes, I've done an Oprah. Check under the couch. Not on that, on the actual underneath, not under the cushion. You'd be breaking it, you fool. It is the classic album by the band Stryper, To Hell with the Devil.
See, I don't know much about Stryper.
I don't even, right.
I know they're Christian,
They
and
are
that's
Christian
about it.
metal, yes. All I know about Stryper is one fact that I don't know where I heard it from, that they used to play live and throw Bibles into the audience. And at the end of the show, there was just Bibles on the floor everywhere because people would legitimately come just to listen to them because they just were like a hair metal band at the time.
Yeah.
That happens to be Christian.
Yeah, it is very hair metal. I don't know a lot about Stryper. I'm sure they are referenced in something I've been listening to recently.
Get
but
thee
that
behind me,
is
Stryper.
like a hell of a cover. What?
Get thee behind me, Stryper. I've played your records backwards.
What's that off?
Half man lyric.
It could be half man. It could be something else. I'm sure.
So like I say, like this is something I bought and put aside, never listened to. But like when I picked it up now, after years later of much more metal experience, I was like, these guys are just the pussy Manowar, aren't they?
This is exactly the type of thing for this.
Exactly.
For this type.
There are so many things I love about this album, the fronts and the backs. The front cover, everyone at home. Okay, so here's the thing that we have to talk about first. The reason I want a clarification on the rules of what we do here is if you Spotify this, you'll get a different album cover.
Really?
Yes, I'm not sure why. But is there anything on that album cover that stands out to you there that shouldn't be there, Matt?
That shouldn't be there?
Yeah.
So I can see that it's, for those who can't see, it's the band Stryper, who are...
The buff angels. Buff naked
angels.
angels.
There's been some artistic license, I think, with with the depiction, because they don't look that buff. The inside.
It's not like Manowar, who are actually that hot and attractive.
So
and swole.
They seem to be. There's some guy who appears to be fallen, who looks like a traditional metalhead, and
they're going to save him from the fires of hell.
Yeah, and he appears to be. He's almost forming an upside down cross as well on the cover. Yeah. And they're taking his black flying V off him as he falls into the pits. So, is the thing that shouldn't be there? Is it the pentagram?
Well spotted. Yes. So I didn't know that myself until I googled why the album covers were different. And it's not even that. There's 3 different album covers. So there's a censored version that is exactly the cover you're looking at now, but they've just whited out the pentagram. There's a pentagram in the top right corner.
Yeah, just under the Stryper
It's not
logo,
even a full pentagram, is it? It's
no.
like half of a one.
And to be honest, like, it's not even an invert. You could argue it's not even inverted because it's at an angle anyway.
So yeah, apparently that was upsetting to the Christian. I mean, this must be so hard to be in a Christian metal band because you're just trying to do your thing and everyone's just like, "Oh no, don't do that. Oh no, you can't do that." And another thing that I find confusing about the front cover is why is there a Bible verse underneath the band name? Is that part of the band name?
There's one under the album title as well. Revelation.
So there's 2?
Yeah. So
I didn't even pick up on
Isaiah 53 verse 5.
Yeah,
And
okay.
Revelation book 20
So
verse
if
10.
I ask you what's the name of that band, do you say
Stryper.
Yeah, but do you say Stryper, Revelations, verse 10, whatever?
No, I just know them as Stryper.
Yeah, but why has it got it written underneath the name of the band?
I don't know. I don't know. This
That's
this
the
is
worst
why.
place to put it.
Well, like when we Google the band properly, all I really know is they could go. That's like other bands who've talked about them said like they're cool guys.
Yeah,
But-
technically sound, apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's on Music for Nations, who they put out a lot of metal and thrash records in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So they put out like Metallica and Megadeth albums
Oh, shit.
in the UK.
Good company to be in.
Yeah, they'd go through your collection. If you got anything like thrash from the 80s, there's probably a Music for Nations.
Another thing I love about this album is the back of it, because it's so hair metal, and it just reminds you of that time where in hair metal bands there was always only like one, maybe two guys that could pull off the look, and then everyone else just had to go along with it.
Yeah, there's so much I don't get. I mean, I'm not gonna try and. I'm assuming the guy at the front, at the bottom, is the drummer. The guy on the left, why is he wearing a racing team jumpsuit? It's like the other.
Look in the inlay. So open it up. If you're lucky enough to have the folding album, which I am.
The gatefold. Yeah.
Oh yes. They're like one of the dudes is like wearing like some kind of weird machinery on his chest as well as like some kind of gadget.
What does that say?
What's
it says
that about?
Dimension.
Oh,
he's a guitar player. He's not the drummer.
Is he wearing like the pedal on his chest or something?
It's not a guitar, but I don't know what that is. It looks like a telephone. He's got a book there. Oh, yeah, it's a Bible, of course.
Obviously.
I was gonna say maybe it's the telephone directory.
But like,
maybe he's like dressed as a payphone.
If you're doing like the weird alternate, like fucking like, look at us, we're from the future, aren't we cool, dressing as robots? I'm cool with that. But don't do that while also doing we're 80s hair metal with big hair guys, because they're just looking like they're trying to look like hot chicks, and some of them are kind of pulling it off. You do that with all the gimmicks and the accoutrement, and then you chuck the Bible stuff on top of it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, just something about with here. Like, hold on. Oh, right. So, are the singer and the drummer brothers?
I have no idea. No, I know nothing about this band.
Just looking at the writing credits, it's all Michael Sweet, but the drummer is Robert Sweet. Actually, no. No, he is the drummer.
Okay.
Because he's down as Robert Sweet drums, but he's down as visual timekeeper.
Visual timekeeper? What does that even mean? He's like he's standing behind the glass, like clapping and play in rhythm, you cunts.
No, because it's only visual, so that implies sound based.
While you're reading that, Matt, tell me who else they thank on the to thank list.
I haven't even got to that
Tell me
yet.
who's the
There's
first person
more
they
Bible
thank.
verses under.
Oh, of course.
Each...
Are they different Bible verses?
Yes.
All right.
So they must be specific to each of the band members.
Oh, they've got their own favourite Bible verses, yeah, sure.
Yes, they have. Of course, they have. Right. So
who's the first person?
The champion, Jesus Christ.
The champion, Jesus Christ. It's like the first push of trying to make Jesus cool for kids. You know what I mean? In the 90s, 80s, when this was, he's not just like our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's the champion. He's the guy that smashes his foes and also probably skateboards.
I don't recognise too many names in the thanks, although they do play Aria Pro basses, and I have an Aria bass.
Oh well, you and Stryper would get on like a house on fire.
Special thanks to our wives.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. A nice bunch of lads. Let's go on the record before we start this too deeply. Like, I've nothing against these lads. You know, obviously not my thing. 100% not my thing, the whole Jesus stuff. But, you know, if you want to do it, fine. If you want to make an album about it, fine too. That's your business. I'm not going to be listening to it unless it's ironically like we're going to do right after.
Yeah, it's...
Like we're going to do soon.
A lot of this it depends what school they're in, doesn't it? Because, like, I think they are genuine because they were... I don't even know if they're still going. They may still be going.
Pretty sure they're still going?
Yeah.
And like a documentary came out about them last year.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's not it's not a faith plus one type
They
scenario.
actually believe in that shit.
But I don't know.
We'll have to listen to it and find out. Because
Yeah.
I've got a lot of questions.
But yeah, I can see why you picked it for the cover. I mean, it
And
is
how
quite.
how disproportionately large is that guitar?
It's massive, isn't it?
It's too big to play. Spend a little spend a little less time praying, a bit more time working on your scale. And
Maybe that's why they're taking
perspective.
it off him.
Maybe that's why.
Like it's too big.
Oh, man.
Also, the man is he being saved or is he being forced down?
You mean you'd have to assume he's being saved because otherwise,
I don't know, but he's got.
It's going to be a very different motive, different style. If it's about them sending people to hell for not being religious enough, that'd be pretty rad.
He's got like a Two-Face thing going on.
Is he?
Yeah, because he's got like a claw and his foot's.
Give him here. Oh, he does. Yeah, he's going full Two-Face. So he's obviously been turned evil at some point, but one of the brothers is casting his heavenly light on him to rid that spirit of him. But then again, it does mess with the message because one of the dudes has taken the guitar away from him. Surely they want you to play guitar and worship Jesus. Amen. Amen. Nah.
I don't know. You'd have to ask. The drummer came up with the concept of the cover. It says on the inside.
All right, do you want to listen to this stuff?
I don't know why, but when it's like cover concept by, it reminds me of like, did you watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
Yeah.
Where it's like the credits at the start where it said music by Siobhan Stilborg based on melodies hummed by Garth Marenghi.
All right,
so what's the first track of this? I'm sure I remember reading it and going like, oh Jesus.
The first track on To Hell with the Devil, 1986, is Abyss, open brackets, To Hell with the Devil, close brackets. And then we'll listen to side A and we'll come back at you with some thoughts.
Nice.
I hope you're enjoying this episode. Looking forward, I'm going to look into getting some sponsors to fill these little gaps here. But just so we're not big fat sellouts living off that corporate teat, if you've got anything you'd like to plug, your band, your podcast, just get in touch with us via the Shrod Pod Instagram and we'll mention it in these little breaks here. And now back to the show. That was interesting.
Yeah.
What was that very good point you made, Matt? Say that again for the people at home.
That I don't mind Christian bands, but I don't like Christian music.
There you go. Yeah. You've kind of run out of material, and you're not going to sway me over with your songs, so leave the Jesus stuff to your own time, fella. You know?
It's very niche.
It's very niche and unoriginal and uninspiring. But, again, Alice Cooper, the born-again Christian stuff is fucking awesome because it's not about, like, Jesus is the one, Jesus is the king. It's about hell's a real place and it fucking sucks and you're going to go there if you don't straighten up and fly right.
Well, they could write songs about
Exactly.
stuff like that, but, like, my other point is, like, none of it's over. None of it's, like, do you know what? Like, be nice to people, like, help people who need helping out. It's all...
This is the problem with Christian music, as in church music. It's just like every song is about like, I love Jesus, Jesus is in me, I want to show you how much I love Jesus.
It's all praise, and it's like...
Sing about something else. Jesus did a lot of stuff. Sing about the bread and all the magic fish and all that shit. That's interesting.
Magic fish.
Made all those fish appear out of nowhere. You don't talk about it. I'd rather hear a song about that than fucking calling on you.
I don't want to get into a whole theological debate because we'll probably end up with like hate mail and death threats and whatnot. But it's my issue with it all in general is it's all very much praise. Look how great I am. I go to church, holier than thou things.
Yeah.
Like lack of a better term, practice what you preach. Like.
Sure.
Don't be a dick to people. Don't look down on people. Don't kick them down because they don't, or don't beat them down because they don't believe in what you believe, have respect for them, even though they might have a difference of opinion, all the stuff like that. I mean, this isn't, I would say it's not cramming down your throat with it. It's not Shine Jesus Shine, is it? Not
No.
that's the only hymn I know. But it's not that, but there is a lot. It starts like creeping in.
I think like, the thing is, like, when we say Christian music now, like, it does really encompass more about what you're talking about. Like, it is more about like just being a good dude, and like they're a Christian man. It's like fucking the Aquabats are a Christian band. They don't sing about Jesus. They just sing about having a good time and being cool. You know what I mean? But this is the first like multi-platinum selling Christian rock band. You know, they walked so the Aquabats could run. So in terms of actual listening to this non-biasedly as a music fan,
So,
I like that he's doing a lot with his vocals and he's shown he can do it, but I also don't like his vocals.
it very much the first. We won't talk about Abyss because it's just an intro and it's just the longer the chord, the more dread.
Yeah.
Is that another Garth Marenghi thing?
Yes.
No, it's Peep Show. That.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
sweet references today, boy.
I've been like on too many like fucking weird British subreddits recently, but yeah, it's very much the longer the chord, the more dread. There is.
It was
there's
only
not
a minute and a bit though, so fair play.
It sets up a tone, and like you could be mistaken for thinking this is a Christian album going straight off because it's, you know, to hell with the devil. It's like that could be written by Motley Crue, that could be written by Poison, that could be written by Kiss. It's, you know, it's not. It is basic. The lyrics aren't really up to much, but it's, you know, you could. And I'm not saying they did this, but like I know they kind of use their chops and their playing, and that came first rather than solely basing it on like the Christian element. But yeah, it's okay. It's basic that there's the verses, the guitars drop out, so it's just the drums and the vocals. There is a bit of a hook, to hell with the devil, kind of works. It's not. I'm not saying it's memorable. There's the elements there to make it work, but I just think it's really basic.
I think that it suffered from the whole thing of it being overproduced, and they're trying to make his vocals sound as big as and as like vibrating in like a holy church sense as possible, and it didn't work for me. They could have just cleaned that vocal up, put it right out in front of all these other instruments, and I would have listened to it more. I couldn't really hear it, anything.
It's okay. It was inoffensive. It's the bits. What I want to talk about a bit more are things like free. Free. You're not. I'm free to do whatever I fit. Like it's not the Oasis thing, but it's Joe. Free to do what you want to. Choose your own destiny.
Fourth track.
Yeah. So it's like choose your own destiny. You're free to do what you want. Again, not really an overtly Christian message, but like the next. Or the song that closes the side is The Way. Christ is the way. And it just slightly mixed messages. But
this is another thing that we talked about on our very popular monthly Motorhead podcast, the only Motorhead monthly podcast on the internet. When the people write these songs about like, don't let anyone stop you from being a metalhead. It's like, no one's trying to stop me from being a metalhead. And this is like, don't let anyone stop you from praising Jesus. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. What are we arguing about here, guy? We're free. We're free to follow Jesus. Oh, yeah, you're free to do whatever the man in the front of the church tells you to. Cool.
I mean, I think that's ultimately what the band suffers from, because rock and metal's about, not saying negative emotions, but it's about powerful emotions. It's
very
like
good
angst,
point.
anger.
Yes,
and
angst is the cornerstone of good metal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to get like pumped for like, yeah, The Way.
I think another problem with this whole thing is that like they've got like a good guitar player and thought like, oh, that'll be the band, we're sorted.
They've got two decent guitar players, and
Yeah.
they've got
But the
a
rhythm
decent-
section,
well, the singer's got range
yeah,
as well.
you can
but
have range. It's about how you use it. But I'm talking about the rhythm section.
Yeah, the drumming's not really.
It is
up to
so
much.
uninspired.
He does a bit more on the way.
There's some weird breakdowns on Calling You, and it's just like the weirdest, slowest outro thing, and then like the synthesizer over the top of it's really intrusive, more intrusive than it should be in metal.
Yeah, it's there's a lot. I could leave the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks.
Yeah.
Like I've got to admit, like the way when it started up,
Yes.
it was like, ooh, this is different.
Yes.
It's like a galloping rhythm and everything.
Mhm.
It's like it's not just kick snare, chord, like just long
it also
vocal
yeah,
melody.
yeah, it's the only song that had a chorus. Like, I had a good chorus. Oh, what can I say? Rockin' all the... What was it?
No, it's what did you say? Oh, Christ is the way.
Well, okay, so it rhymes. It's catchy. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying it rhymes and it's catchy.
Yeah, they kind of lost me on the chorus. Like
Makes
the
use of
verse
the
is
vocals
good.
and stuff as well. Oh, it's like a rising
Yeah.
vocal. That's good shit, man. I like that.
It does work, and that's my takeaway from the album. Like if I had to have one, but like that's interesting that it's written by Oz Fox, who's the second guitarist, like the singer and lead guitarist. He's written the other songs on this, which I didn't like, and it doesn't bode well for the second half of the album because he's written everything else.
Mm.
But honestly.
Honestly, the track, or honestly, your opinion?
Yes, that's a segue.
So, apparently this was one of the most requested songs on MTV the year it came out, and that's gotta be bullshit because it's really bad.
Like 86 was like a good year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a good year for metal because like Metallica didn't have a video at that point, so they wouldn't have been on MTV.
Right.
Megadeth may have. They may have had something for Peace Cells. Slayer wouldn't have. Anthrax might have. So there's a lot. I can't believe that this gets more play than like Madhouse.
Because it was like, it's like, I assume that's the ballad of the album, this song, and it was all piano and very weird vocals.
It doesn't sound like Michael Sweets.
It sounds like a different
woman
person, like a
singing.
lady.
Yeah, it does sound like a woman singing, and I may be mistaken, but I can't see that it is anyone else. There's a few other
No,
people
I think it
credited
goes to
with
what we're
playing
saying
on
about
there on
he's got
keyboards.
range. He's technically efficient. It's just he's using it in a weird way.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Wonder of You. I don't know why. It's like that end of the chorus, like the Wonder of You.
No.
Yeah, so the Wonder of You is by Elvis Presley. It's like I guess I'll never know the reason why you love me as you do, and that's the wonder of it. That I don't know why that they seem to have ripped off that rhythm from Elvis, and I suppose like if you're gonna rip off someone,
Yeah.
you rip off the King. Although
Well,
they
that's
have a
not
problem.
their king, is it?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, they don't have a king; they have a champion.
Oh, sweet callback. I've not enjoyed this. I don't think I'm going to enjoy the second half.
Yeah, it's a fact. Like the
I
one
hope
song he
there's
did,
more
like
songs like The Way.
Oz Fox doesn't have any writing
There's
credits
not
on the
going to be
second
more
half of
songs
the album.
like The Way, is there?
I don't think so.
Shall we put it on and find out?
Why not?
Okay, we're going to put the second side of the album on after this word from our sponsors. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Looking forward, I'm going to look into getting some sponsors to fill these little gaps here. But just so we're not big fat sellouts living off that corporate teat, if you've got anything you'd like to plug, your band, your podcast, just get in touch with us via the Shrod Pod Instagram and we'll mention it in these little breaks here. And now back to the show.
A toddler, like sports.
Exactly. What is
goal?
what? Why are they doing like a racing theme and a bumblebee theme and a Jesus is King theme at the same time.
I'm sure that
Is it a metaphor?
the stripe thing must be. The stripe is from the Isaiah 53:5.
What is
I
that
read
full
that.
verse again?
Oh, I haven't got a Bible app on my phone.
So the verse that is part of the band logo is, "But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. Sorry, the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed." What does that mean? His stripes? Is that like the lashings and shit? Do you think? Do you care?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's a bit much for a metalhead, isn't it? Like these did really well with just music fans at the time, at this album, and then after this album they didn't. When they tried to do less Jesus stuff, like less people were interested, which is weird.
Yeah, I remember reading ages ago in like a history of heavy metal book where they played some festival who obviously they weren't very Christian. Like I don't want to say like Slayer was headlining or something because I seem to remember them saying that they wouldn't tour with bands like that, but it was like a similar sort of mood, so they just had to play the heaviest songs they had.
Yeah. But apparently we've done our research on them now, and there's an album called Against the Law, which had no Christian stuff on it at all.
Yeah.
And then the Christian bookstores refused to carry it, and then it just did really badly. I'm thinking this is South Park must have done their research, because like in that, like they point out that like a lot of the music's bought by old people to give to children.
Yeah.
And the markup's really high.
No, they were. I nearly said they were a band that existed. They obviously did well.
For a point, yeah, and then
you don't get platinum for grandmas buying records for the.
But that was like the 80s. Like when that album came to the 90s, this like we're changing our thing up, and like people, just general metalheads, lost interest in them.
I think like there was a massive decline in metal anyway.
Yeah,
like especially like grunge like killed off loads of it, and it's like people point to like hair metal as being like one of the victims of bands like Motley Crue and everything, but I'd even argue that like some of metal bands were forced to change. Like Slayer carried on doing their own thing, Metallica changed to be more commercial, Megadeth certainly changed to be more commercial and everything. It's like grunge had like this massive effect. Like it didn't just kill off bands like this, it forced like everyone to change and be a bit more grounded, a bit more less flashy. I mean, you go from like almost like this is what 86 is it
86,
but yeah, wearing stuff like this between like 86 and 89, and then like 92 it's people in ripped jeans and flannel shirts. Like it's just a massive shift. And to be fair, like they were sort of in when hair metal was big and everything, so I can see why they did sort of get.
It doesn't change the fact that this album's fucking terrible.
I really don't like it.
I'm sorry, metal fans who are also Christians, but this is not a good metal album.
No, it's
I'm
not.
Synthesizer.
I'm not a hair metal fan. Like the synth, is that on All of Me? It's just. I was saying to you, it's like as soon as you hear that tone, it's like, oh, great. It's like it's not a piano. It's synth. It's awful organ type keyboards. Again, reminding you sort of sat in church on a Sunday because you've been dragged to there, so you're missing out on like your Sunday morning cartoons and everything, and watching.
Oh, fucking had to run back to get in time for the Marvel Action Hour on Fox Kids, and I never got to see any of the Fantastic Four, which is probably why I don't like them to this day.
I don't like Fantastic Four is too wholesome.
Ironically.
But yeah, in terms of songs on this side, I mean, I kind of resent just sing-along song for just having the nerve to sort of, like, bands do it. It's like, we want to write an anthem that people, well, get the crowd involved. Like, We Will Rock You is specifically written for crowd interaction. Sure. It's like, what can the crowd do? But just having the gall to call sing along song. Yeah, and the
sing along
sing-along
part of it is so like unsingable as well. It's whoa 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 yeah yeah yeah, but like elongated, slow, boring. If it was
yeah,
just like nice and easy, whoa 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 yeah yeah yeah, we'd be talking about a different thing.
yeah. I'm trying to think of stuff to say on this side that we haven't said already. Like in terms of standouts, again, it's like rocking all over. Or I want to say rocking all over the world. They're not status quo.
No, they're not
Rocking,
status quo,
rocking
man.
the world and more than a man are like like the way where it's like, ooh, this is a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's almost like they go out of their way to make those ones the more overtly sort of pushing the message on. Like
Yes.
more than a man starts. Long ago, there was a man who came and died for you, and it's like, oh,
There's definitely
start
more
already.
message shit in this side, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, more than a man mentions God and Jesus. And yeah, the chorus, God, I will follow you because you died for me, gave to me your life to set me free. Anyone who asks shall receive Jesus in your heart. It's time for you to start giving God all the glory.
Jesus.
That's very, very preachy.
Yeah, but this is also on the side where, what is it, rocking the world? They say we just want to spread the news in a different way. It's like we don't want to be pushy. We just want to do some cool music, and that's really not what they're doing. They are just giving it all the God with both barrels, aren't
Yeah,
they?
more than a man, certainly, like, overtly in your face, you died for me. It's time for you to start giving God all the glory, especially when it comes on the same record when they've said you're free to do what you want, choose your own destiny, but you need to start giving all the glory to God. It's a bit much. I don't particularly like the music anyway. The message is overtly preachy. As we said at the start, I don't mind Christian bands. It's Christian music that is the issue, and this hasn't done anything to sway me. I've had a laugh looking through the just the cover, and it is a sight to behold. Like, just so much iconography as well. Like, not just the angels, but they thought about given props. They thought about the image. It's the yellow and black. It's the triangles. It's each member has a different look, even though.
The only nice thing you can say about the band is the marketing's very good, and that doesn't do anything for me, man.
Like, even, I just like the bass player for, like, I just want to be a race car driver. It's like oh, okay, Tim. Like, there's your helmet and trophy, and like, just looking at them, they are still going. They had an album out last year.
I was expecting the Wikipedia to be like a big section on the controversy, but all that's in there is like Christians were giving them more guff than anyone else because they were like, "This isn't very Christian of you. Stop."
But yeah, I've just looked at the verse that's under "To hell with the devil." And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
Well, that'll learn him for be a shit, won't it?
Yeah, but he lives there anyway.
That's a good point. Oh man, I had some like life flashbacks from going to church and like from a kid, just like from day one, just realizing what bullshit it was, and like when they would bring out the modern quote unquote Christian music, like there'd always be like someone just standing there, like you see it on TV, like eyes closed, palms up to the sky. Like that's what they would write in this music for. Like it wasn't for listening to, it was for praying. Like this is how they pray.
Yeah.
It's again, not for us, you know what I mean?
It's
I don't know why so many people got into it. If you had like a single with just like the heavier riff stuff on it, then I can see how you kind of fell into it by mistake. But like listen to a whole album of that.
Yeah, like there's not anything on here what isn't overtly, like, even the singles and everything. It's like it comes out, and like I'm sure some people got into them like that, but like you say, I think it is very niche. It's very much, this is for a particular group. Yeah. This isn't trying to like, let's make music. this is let's make Christian music.
Yeah, it's not let's make music, it's let's spread the word.
Yeah.
Which is they're always doing. Like, stop spreading the word, mate. We know who he is. We're just not interested.
But yeah, as you say, the marketing's fantastic. Just I keep
like
looking at
said,
this.
What if Kiss were Christians?
Yes, like certain things that you just notice new things while looking at this. Like the drummer wears a dog collar. Okay. Or he wears the collar, and it's like, why? is he? I haven't read that
Is he ordained?
I don't know, but it's just such an odd look, because you'd think as well. Like, I mean, I can't say for all branches of Christianity they don't want to sexualize and everything, and where he's wearing the collar, similar to like the Chippendales were doing it at the time. Do you know what I mean? Because he's showing off like his arms and his chest and everything. Just so much is.
It's very interesting to look at, not very interesting at all to listen to.
Yeah,
the most uninteresting album I've ever heard, maybe.
There's not a lot of takeaways off here. There's like,
there's none. You're never gonna listen to this shit again.
No, I'm not.
At least with DOA, you're like, okay, well, I wonder what they're doing here and where the ideas are coming from.
MOD,
with this,
that was.
MOD, thank you. But with this, you know where the ideas were coming from and you don't want them.
So are we saying this is another one for the no pile?
Is it going in the shelf or is it going in the bin?
It's bin.
It's in the bin. Musically, it's in the bin.
Musically, it's in the bin. It's going back on your shelf because of the cover.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it there just to show people occasionally. This is what I was saying before. Like, the whole point of this podcast is you find a good cover, you go, oh, that looks awesome. I wonder what it sounds like. But sometimes you find a bad cover, you're like, oh my God, what does that sound like?
That's it. Yeah, you mentioned that during the break about like how bad can this be?
Yeah.
This is,
and there's a few of those in my old LP collection.
So is this like the equivalent of like a Sharknado or something?
Yeah.
Where
No, because like there are enjoyable parts of Sharknado. There was nothing enjoyable about this. It wasn't a fun B movie.
I shouldn't mention Sharknado because I think Sharknado is a bit. It's like trying too hard.
Well, no, I get what you mean though. Like, I'm a guy who likes a good shit B movie. But the reason you like a shit B movie is because you can see what they were trying to do. You can see the effort that went into it.
Yeah.
With this, like, I don't think the effort was in there. The studio work was good, but it was also half-heartedly. There's just a lackadaisical approach to everything that these Christian folks do. No, I'm going to edit that out. My problem with it was that, like we've said time and time again, they put the message before the music.
Yeah. Yes.
They just spent more time going like, hey, this guy may be a good Christian drummer, but is he a good drummer who's a Christian?
Yeah, give more time on the album to
Frank Ozzy fella. The Aussie fella.
Not Frank Oz, like Oz Fox.
Oz Fox. You can see how I got confused there, right? But yeah, apparently he's still in Christian rock bands. There must be like a whole other world of music we don't know about.
That's the other thing I was going to say. The lineup's been pretty much solid. Like, they've had guest musicians come and go for like playing keyboards and whatnot, and it's like fair play to them. Like, the image and keeping it going for that long, like, commendable.
I'll say I'm much more interested in watching the documentary about this band than I am listening to this band ever again. I don't need to listen to them ever again. So
I will check out the documentary if that's a takeaway. But unfortunately, this experiment. To be fair, this reviews based on the album cover being terrible, not awesome. So I don't know if we'll include it in the running tally, but still, it's kind of a 2-1 in the bin at the minute.
Yeah, musically, it's in the bin. So that is the end of the Shrod Pod, aka Schrodinger's podcast, Schrodinger's Tracks. I hope you've enjoyed it. Follow the Instagram, which is @ShrodPod. Watch along on Top Hats and Canes, just @Top Hats and Canes on YouTube, and you'll find it. And join us next month for another episode. Catchphrase.
Yeah, we haven't got one yet.
Or at least music play out.